Okay, we got us something that's going to let life be a little easier on the mountain. Saw an advertisement for this old log splitter. You can see it's made by the John Deere company, and it has a 3-point mount on it, which is intended to be put onto the back of a tractor, and then it has hydraulic hoses that attach to the hydraulics on the tractor. And then there's a valve on the top of it for running the ram up against the logs and pushing them into the blade on the end and splitting the wood. So the plan for this is that we attach it to the auxiliary hydraulics on our Bobcat and put attach it directly to the bucket, and then theoretically we can cut the logs and just throw them right in the bucket, and then that way transport both the splitter and the split logs to whatever location we want. But there's a couple things I'm going to have to figure out on this first, and probably do a couple of maintenance things on it. I'm sure these hoses are probably about dead, and take a look inside some of the other parts to make sure they're up to the way they should be. But anyway, that's the introduction to this project. Okay, we drug the whole log splitter out back. See what kind of work it might need on it, and I notice it's got some baling wire where there should have been some retaining pins here, and of course we got a hose that's leaking, but these things are cracked, so they're going to need to be replaced. I'll put different ends on it anyway, along with the new hoses. They're just split and old style connectors that won't fit the Bobcat anyway. So then over on this side, I noticed that this plate's moving around. The screw was loose for some reason, so not sure what exactly was going on there, if it just came loose or if somebody was in there doing things with it, but be something else to check out. And then one other thing that I'm not sure about on this is this plug doesn't look right for an open valve. Normally you have an oil flow through from one side to the other, so in other words it comes in one hose, goes out the other. Some of them are open and some of them are closed, and I'm going to want to open one so the oil flow is only interrupted when I actuate the valve. Otherwise it's going to be a problem with what we're doing. I need to pull this plug out here and find out what's inside of it to see if that's a usable thing or if this valve's going to need to be replaced. I was looking at the John Deere stuff and it doesn't look like it's a repairable part any longer. They made these things back from like 1978 to 1982 according to what I read on the internet, so it's not really that I didn't expect to see some problems in trying to fix some of it, but most of it's a good solid beginning for something, and we'll figure out some way to get it up on the Bobcat as it's all put together. Okay, it turns out that the valve on the log splitter here was the wrong kind. It was closed center instead of open center, so I got a replacement valve. I removed the valve from the splitter, and right now I'm going to try to remove the oil that's in the cylinder because I saw a little bit of water come out of it, so I want to get that cleared. So I'm going to use a couple of clamps that are up on top of it to push the cylinder back, and then I'll reverse the operation and pull the cylinder the other way so I can get all the oil out of it. We'll see how that goes. Okay, looks like the cylinder's all the way back one direction so far. So now I'll reverse everything and go the other direction. After getting it to move, I'm able to pull it by hand, so might be a little easier to do it this way. Trying to keep from shooting oil all over everything. It's already dripped out as it is. Looks like that's the extent of the ram travel on the cylinder. And we did get a quantity of oil out of there. Pretty dirty stuff. Didn't really want to pass that through the Bobcat system that is going to end up powering this thing, so it's a good thing I'm cleaning it out. Nasty discolored stuff there. Not sure what's in there, but I suppose it's just water and years of contamination in there. This is what holds the valve onto the log splitter, is have a U-bolt that's welded onto a plate. And there's a couple different sets of holes in it. The original ones were in these big holes here. There's several others in there. Not sure what those would have been for. But that just attaches to a bracket. Like a big muffler clamp. Holds the cylinder in place. And then I've got this new Prince Manufacturing log splitter valve. It was a LS3000-1, I believe. And that'll end up mounting onto the plate like that. I'll have to pull the fittings out of the other valve so that the hard lines can be screwed into that. Then I'll have to get hoses that go into the ports on each side of it. That'll be what feeds it from the hydraulic system on the Bobcat. And I'm waiting on some flat face connectors that allow me to attach it to the Bobcat. Okay, this new valve came with plugs installed in it to seal off the port so it wouldn't gain contamination in it. And I've actually got a hex tool on a socket that fits this size up here, so these are going to be pretty easy to remove. Yeah, we can just wind those right out, so that's not a problem. The ports on the side, I don't have a wrench big enough to remove them. It turns out that they're 9/16 of an inch, which is a bolt size. So a little trick for that, put two nuts on the bolt and jam them up against each other. And just use a pair of wrenches or wrench and socket, whatever you got handy. And you want to tighten these two nuts together pretty firm. And then when you're backing out, if you turn on the nut that's closest to the head of the bolt, you can use that like a hex wrench. They weren't in there too firmly, but they did have some kind of a locking compound on that fitting. Along with the flat face valves, I also ordered some hydraulic reducers to put in there for 1/2 inch hose. These have 3/4 inch ports in it, and so I want to get that reduced down to the hoses. But the problem is plumbing fittings, you really don't want to use them in hydraulics because they aren't strong enough. The ones I got were rated for 3,000 psi. Some of the other ones are only rated for 300 psi, so be sure you use the right fittings when you're working with hydraulics. But otherwise, should just be able to use one of the existing mounting holes in here, and I can go in with a transfer punch and make a mark where these holes need to be, and we'll bolt that down. And I can transfer the fittings into it, and should be able to make some progress on it in the next video. Thanks for watching.